Hello and welcome to MBC News. I'm Dooza Dragonash, your anchor, or perhaps not quite an anchor today. And here is our redoubtable team of Sigmund Leominster, Malburn's writer and editorial clarity. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You hear the voice of three fed-up men because I have been trying to put my papers in order tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And along with 1 million Italian women who walked this week in Italy to say no to Berlusconi, their premier, who is under indictment in Milan for allegedly having sex with an underage girl. Egypt's Hosni Mubarak stepped down under pressure from the Egyptian people. A council of armed forces has been installed, insisting that they are apparently representing the rights of the people who call for democratic elections.
And the hypergrid that allows avatars to leap from virtual grid to virtual grid has been suspended until developers can find a way to stop copyright infringements taking place.
Well, that's not quite a surprise, is it, Mal?
Well, no, I'm not entirely sure that's accurate either, because as somebody who does a bit of hypergridding, as far as I know, I can still hypergrid. But what was announced...
so it's not the whole hypergrid that's gone down, it's just some grid owner?
What actually happens is that many OpenSim grids actually still have hypergrid turned off for fear that content will be taken from their grid and, moved to another less secure grid or copied and distributed illegally. So these people haven't actually got hypergrid turned on. But what's happened is that the OpenSim developers are now working to create a permission system to help abate that fear. And I'll quote Krista Lopez, who was the inventor of Hypergrid, and she's professor of informatics at the University of California. And basically, what she says is... she's added some code to the basic OpenSim source code that removes their ability to take assets into their grids, even if the objects can be copied. And she was talking to Hypergrid Business about this. The way it works is that you, or the hosting company running OpenSim for you, have to set something called outbound permission to false in the OpenSim it's a technical inventory access module, and this setting will actually allow regions running that instance to prohibit export of goods.
Mel, can I just ask you something? Yeah. Why wasn't this done in the first place? I mean, wouldn't it have been obvious? I know that, for example, there have been several people on GridWrap, which is a program that we do about the grids, who have expressed their concern about this in the past.
I suspect that it was a combination of oversight and the fact that the most OpenSims use some variation of the Hippo viewer, which is the Second Life viewer. And the actual architecture of the viewer didn't have any ready-made things in position to limit permissions. I mean, you have copy, mod, and the other one, but you don't have anything advanced like export allowed, export disallowed, and things like that. So many people in OpenSim were actually working with a viewer that didn't really have these facilities built in. So it will now be in the code and in the region control module that people running OpenSims have. Then they can implement it in the control model.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. Basically,
thank you, darling. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Siggy, let's move on.
Yeah, well, Brock College students of the Interactive Arts and Science class have made a video game. Well, that is a virtual reality. After Andrew Grenison approached him with a proposal, Professor Tamar Thabet challenged the class to use the Unreal Development Kit to design a virtual world. Now, having used Second Life to create settings in previous years, the students have developed their own world now using what is described as a mock corporation called Quixotic. The students say that Quixotic expresses, quote, being hopelessly optimistic to the point of suicide, unquote. Now, Quixotic has produced a game called Psychosis, still being developed. And the project manager Grenison explained that the concept was a horror game about, well, psychosis. As the game is immersive and virtual reality, presumably it will enhance the psychosis we all are already undergoing in virtual reality, trying to work out what is real and what isn't. This will be a field day for their psychology course then.
The US Army is bringing a program to improve troops' physical and emotional well-being into the Second Life virtual world. They've created an island on which they have a virtual campus. The aim is to offer soldiers and their families exercise tips. I think we should all go, as well as online avatar-led classes to improve physical fitness. The emotional, social, family and spiritual sections will help troops develop coping mechanisms and deal post-deployment readjustment. According to Major General Reuben Jones, commander of the Family Morale, Welfare and Recreation Command, the site will go live in April and be fully operational by the end of 2011. And that is at myonemyonesource.com, Communities Marketplace Virtual World Second Life Default. I think this is about post-traumatic stress, isn't it, Sigmund?
That would be part of it, but I think it's more of a general way of Army people keeping in touch. Remember, the other thing is that if you are actually deployed, you can still have access to the internet. So actually, families can keep in touch this way. As I said, I'm the father of a soldier, and he in fact does keep in touch via the internet. So it's actually a very good way of doing it. So this is an extension of it, and as they suggest here, it'll also extend into some elements of training and other types of support. And back in the real world, witches in Romania are up in arms because they're being told that they have to be accountable for what they do. Apparently, seeing a tall, dark stranger in someone's future isn't good enough. There has to be a name, a date, and the opportunity to be sued if things don't come true. Now, last month, the Romanian government introduced the witch tax, and now it's planning to introduce fines and even imprisonment for inaccurate predictions. In a statement to the Associated Press, Queen Witch Bratara Bruzia argued that they shouldn't be held responsible for the failure of their tools and said, quote, "They can't condemn witches, they should blame the cards," unquote. And perhaps BP could try this excuse to get out of paying the US for the Gulf of Mexico disaster.
Don't quite see the connection there. Whereas a queen witch called Bratara, I think, is fantastic. Right, now for these messages. And welcome back. And it's over to Mal Burns, writer for TechSpot.
Well, thank you, Doza. And a couple of items that qualify for TechSpot this week. Now, have you ever heard of something called nanosheets? Maybe not, but nanosheets might well hold the key to the next generation of electronics. Researchers have figured out how to split materials into one atom-thick sheets, unlocking some special properties that could really spice up some electronic capabilities. The process can make billions of nanosheets in hours, opening the door to producing this on a large scale. For instance, nanosheets could be used to produce batteries that act as supercapacitors, super strong materials, and hybrid computing technology. Well, Oxford University's Professor Valeria Nicolosi said in a statement There are hundreds of other layered materials that could enable us to create powerful new technologies. Boron nitride and molybdenum disulfide are some of the possibilities. All the researchers need to do is change the order of the atoms in the material to manipulate its properties. New composite materials can be used in a number of new electronic and energy applications with custom-made metallic and semi-metallic properties. And researchers at Trinity College Dublin and the University of Oxford have published their results in a journal called Science, which is Trinity College's... well, I think it's published by Trinity College anyway. So we're looking forward to nanosheets, I think. Right, a company called Juniper Security their Juniper networks are introducing a virtual security gateway that integrates its physical security gateway so customers need not configure separate zones when working in a mixed physical and virtual environment. Building on their December purchase of Alta Networks, Juniper have announced that, they announced at the RSA conference this week that the latest version of their security software, now called Juniper VGW, which stands for Virtual Gateway, can align its policies with those of Juniper's SRX appliances. And finally, we have news of something called the iMouse. The iMouse is the equivalent of a conventional computer mouse, but it's controlled entirely by the eyes. Apparently you wear it. It doesn't need a webcam or anything. It's a device you wear, and it offers interesting possibilities for the study of eye movements during drawing, as well as providing a unique device to allow disabled users to operate computers. And if you want more information on that, check out http://www.arts.ac.uk/research/iMouse.
Well,
back to you, Duzo.
I've just got something to add, actually, Mal, here, because we've got something called, which I got terribly excited about, a light touch interactive projector, and I am going to have to get me one, I think, because basically you get this little thing that looks a bit like an external hard drive or something like that, and you put it on and it reflects on the table. Basically, apparently it's a handheld computer and it runs Windows CE, but it uses a holographic laser to project onto any flat surface. So you can be sitting at your table and think, I forgot my computer. You put this thing on and there it is. There is a desktop effector. There's your desktop effectively on the table and you just touch it. So you know that section in Minority Report or Mission Impossible or something like that? Well, you know, they always have the screens in the air, don't they? And they're busy doing this miming thing where they're pushing one screen across, another screen across, another screen across, and touching stuff. Well, it's that. Only you put it onto a flat, any flat surface, and it brings your desktop up. It looked fantastic. I've seen vids of it. You can look at the Light Blue Optics website for a video of it. It looks absolutely fantastic. And if I'm very nice to Robustus Hacks, he might put it into the news footage. Okay, I just wanted to add that. And now I think we're going over to editorial clarity, aren't we, Eddie?
We are, yeah. Alrighty. Okay, so Relay for Life. The annual fundraising for the American Cancer Society in Second Life starts this week with team registrations for what is the 7th annual event. With the new logo, RFL's theme this year is Seasons of Hope. The fundraising lasts for 16 weeks and culminates with walking the track for 24 hours. If you want to set up a team, contact Panzer Eld, that's spelled E-I-L-D-E, or Pretty Kitty Gumbo in Second Life. We'll be broadcasting updates on Relay for Life in this program. This is serious stuff, as last year, SL residents raised over $222,000 US. Oh, and this year, apparently, they're going to be reaching the $1 million US mark.
Wow.
Of what they've raised over the 7 years. Anyways, Entropia are issuing warnings not to buy PED outside of Entropia Universe. It seems from their announcement that there are documented cases where Entropia members have brought PED that have their origin in fraud for real-world cash. Those who have been caught out, they won't risk getting their accounts permanently terminated. Right, Benjamin Hedgehog. The latest Hedgehog book is for sale at Tir na Eggnog in the Green Ornament. With the 2 books, you can give these books as a gift, of course, buy them for yourself. 100% of the book price goes to support St. Tiggy's Animal Hospital in real life, which is apparently a hedgehog hospital in real life, right?
Yeah.
So I learned today.
Thank you, Eddie.
No problem.
And yeah, good work done by the Isle of Worms there, I think, with the hedgehogs. They raised a lot of money for them, actually. Okay, I have one question, because we haven't paid any attention to the fact that it has been Valentine's Day this week. I want to know, hands up, everybody who got a Valentine's card.
I did.
Okay. And so did Mal. Okay. Put your hands down. And hands up anybody who got a present for Valentine's Day. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of this week, that was your MBC News. Thank you very much for joining us. And I'm just going to invite our gentleman to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm beginning to forget I took my Valentine's hat off, which I was wearing last week. But anyway, goodbye and happy Valentine's of yesterday.
Okay, and remember, you can be optimistic to the point of suicide. Farewell and stay safe from MBC News.